Brian Powell, I Run Far, here with Addie Bracy before the 2017 Zegama Marathon. How are you, Addie?
Good, good. Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is your first time at Zegama. Have you got to check out the course at all, or the area?
I jogged about the first 10 minutes of the course, and I think I mentioned to you it felt pretty runnable, which made me actually more scared for the actual race because I think up top it's got to be pretty challenging. So. Yeah,
you're pretty new to trail racing.
Very new, yeah.
You have a long history with track and field and then marathons. Earlier in your running career, did you run on the trails at all, or did you?
Where I grew up in North Carolina, my house actually backed up to some mountain biking trails, so it's not like this, it's not climbing mountains, but I did, thousands of miles around those trails where it's pretty technical footing, jumping logs and routes and stuff like that. So I never thought of it as trail running, but I did train on that to a degree for many years before I switched over.
And now you live in Boulder, and did you incorporate trail running into sort of naturally, or no?
No, it's kind of interesting how it worked out. I love the mountains and I love running on the trails, but training for track, it didn't correlate, so I kind of found myself always taking the time during my 2-week breaks, my 2-week break in the winter and 2-week break in the summer, to do a few runs on the trails, and then it would be like, okay, well, I guess I'll see you next time my break comes up. So it's interesting that I've kind of come full circle back to the thing I actually enjoy doing the most, and it turned out to be, decently competitive at it, so that's been fun.
So you ran competitively in college, and then post-collegiately in the marathon, 10K steeplechase, and then last year happened. Yeah. What was last year like for you?
I always said I would keep running until I felt like I wasn't improving or I wasn't getting better. It didn't make sense to me to stop as long as I was getting better every year. It wasn't about trying to make it my career. It wasn't about necessarily making teams, although those were always goals, or making the trials or making USAs. Those were always goals. But every year I got better for 19 years or something, and then I went 2 years where I just didn't get better at anything. The marathon, I didn't get better at the steeple. I didn't get better at the 10K, and so in my mind I kind of felt like, while maybe I didn't run the times I had the potential to run, I did felt like I had kind of maxed out what I could do on the track, and continuing to race after 2 years of not getting better, I felt myself kind of losing my love for it and not wanting to be there and not wanting to train, and I didn't want that to happen. I see myself staying in the sport for a long time. I'm a coach, and I felt like it was in my best interest to kind of get out. So I ran my first trail race. One of my teammates encouraged me to do the US Champs in New Hampshire, and I think I prepared for like 2 or 3 weeks and just did it for fun. And ever since then, it's just felt like that. It's felt every race I've come to, I've probably been very unprepared for, because I just wanted to make it fun and not stressful.
Did you sort of hit a bottom with the track experience? Was there a?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a testament to the U.S. It's getting so competitive there, and I felt like I was having to work harder and harder and harder to just stay where I was. And meanwhile, the goals, the line's getting moved every year, and it's great to watch, but I didn't see the purpose in it. And yeah, I think I wasn't loving it, and at the end of the day, that's why I want to do it. So if I wasn't loving it, there was no point.
And then just somebody recommended you to do the U.S. Mountain Running Championships?
Yeah, I was trying to make the trials.
The track
trials last, I guess, July, and when I said I wasn't going to do it, Matt Daniels, who's another trail runner, he's a teammate of mine, was going out to the race, and there's plenty of people in Boulder that run trails, just said, well, you're in shape, like, do you just want to do like 1 or 2 workouts and come with us? And I said, okay. And it worked out well.
Yeah, you won that.
I did win that.
Was that your first national championship?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
On 3 weeks' notice?
Yeah.
That must have felt really good.
It did. It felt kind of justified some of the work I had been doing. I was working really hard, so that did make me feel like the last couple of years weren't in vain. They were serving a purpose. I just didn't realize it at the time.
And then you've done a few more trail races since. You ran World Championships. How'd that go?
It went well. Our U.S. team, we placed 3rd and got bronze by, I think, a couple points. So it was a really close race. I didn't feel like my race was as strong as I thought it should have been, and actually kind of attribute that to letting my nerves get in the way, and have since backed off and been like, I'm doing this for fun. And since I've done that, I've had more success coming back to these trail races. So I'm trying not to put pressure on myself, and when I don't do that, I tend to run pretty well.
So yeah, in November you did your first trail marathon, and won Moab Trail Marathon, another U.S. championship.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a really fun course, fun race.
Yeah, so that's very different than the mountain running course you did. I mean, it
is
the Moab Trail Marathon course is quite technical in parts.
It is really technical, yeah.
How did you find that?
Every single race I've come into, I've literally said I don't know what to expect, and it's every time proved true, where at least once during the race I'll stop and be like, what is this? This is insane to me. And Moab was definitely that. there were some parts where I thought like I had made a wrong turn. There was no way this was the actual course, and then I'd see a little white dot, and I'm like, oh, I guess this is the course. It doesn't really seem safe. And doing the obstacle course over the last 5K where you're like climbing ropes and stuff.
And ladders I
think I stopped and had a soda at one point because I was like, I'm just gonna have a Coke really quick because this is crazy. But it's fun. It keeps it light and keeps it somewhat low pressure because you really can't prepare when you have no idea what's going to be out there. So.
And then you did the formidable 50K. Was that in February?
February, yeah.
And how is stepping up to sort of that ultra distance?
I think I rushed it a little bit. I felt pretty fit going into that, and I felt really good through about 22 miles. And I think I ran actually significantly faster through the marathon than I did in Moab, but I did not do a good job fueling. Did not do a good job of kind of taking it easy early on. So it was a learning experience, but I like crashed and burned bad and walked most of the last 5K.
Gotcha.
So it was good to learn that, but I think I rushed the ultra distance a little bit.
And this is technically a marathon, but in terms of time, it runs more like a 50K.
Yes.
So yeah, changing your strategy at all for that?
You know, I will be honest with you, when I registered for this race, I didn't really do my research and thought, oh, I'm pretty good at the marathon distance. This will be cool. And then I kind of saw the course records and was like, oh man, this is going to be interesting. So I'm definitely going to try and take it easy the first bit, play it safe, and try and do a good job fueling. I think that's huge in these long races and something I've struggled with a little bit. So we'll see.
I mean, are you the sort of personality that can sit back in a race and sort of...
I think so. I'm learning that in these long races you kind of have to, and it's been helpful for me to key off of some people that are kind of veterans in it and learn a little bit, because at the end of the day, like, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'd rather people I'm racing not know that, but that's true. I'm kind of making it up as I go, and I train alone, so I don't see people that do it until I'm in races, so it's helpful for me to kind of watch a little bit.
Is there anybody you're going to sort of key on in that early going to sort of play it safe?
You know, I don't know a lot of the foreigners yet. I do know Megan, and I know she's kind of a rock star in the trail world, and I ran with her in Moab. We ran together a little bit, and she was awesome, and we chatted a little and kind of watched her on some of the descents, but because she's really good at those and I'm not as good at those. So I think she seems to run smart, and I have raced her before, so I think that could be someone
somewhat comparable. And
right.
So the first half of the course, that could be a good...
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay. Just kind of a familiar face, if nothing else.
And have you changed up your training much since you've shifted from track training to the trails?
Yeah, you know, I do still quite a bit of faster training, probably more than most trail runners. I think my inkling is that some of the reason why I've had success is I've stayed like pretty fit. So I still do track workouts. I'll still do fast workouts with some of my teammates that race on the track. But I would say for this race, I have done more on the trails than before, just knowing it was going to be very long and very technical. Luckily, we haven't had a lot of snow recently, so I've been able to get up on some of the technical trails in Boulder. There are a lot of really technical trails there, and I've spent a lot more time on those knowing how technical this was going to be.
And do you feel like you're progressing in that regard?
I do. I wish I had like a few more weeks, but I think with this being one of the first races, I think everyone's kind of in that boat where they're like, oh, it'd be nice to have like one more month of training.
But you don't feel like a fish out of water on the technical stuff?
No, I mean, I'm saying that having never seen what I'm going to run, so I hope not. I think the trails in Boulder are pretty technical from what I've heard, and I've just tried to spend a lot of time on those and think like it can't be much worse than this. So if I can get comfortable on these, I'm probably going to be okay wherever I'm at. So
now, how are you going to feel with this race? I think you also have a pretty full schedule coming up in the next couple weeks.
I'm rethinking it a little bit. I think I kind of bit off more than I could chew. I'm flying straight back to Boston to run the U.S. Champs in New Hampshire. And that's been hard too, because I've kind of had to make sure I was pretty prepared for both races, and they're very different. So I think I'm in the best place I could be to be pretty prepared for today or tomorrow and pretty prepared for New Hampshire. So,
but you're sort of committed to both.
I'm committed to both. Yeah, we'll see how it works out. I'm hoping that it translates well, and just put myself in there and see what happens. But
what are you most excited about for tomorrow?
Just a new experience. I think I've traveled and raced abroad many times before, but always on the with the exception of Worlds, always on the track. So there's something really cool about racing on a track in the middle of Finland, but it's not quite the same as coming somewhere and just seeing something totally different. So I've tried to take time to step back and say, like, this is really cool. It's going to be hard tomorrow, but I would never run these mountains otherwise, and it's really cool to kind of, I love the challenge of starting down here and looking up and running to the top of a peak, and getting to do that in Spain is going to be pretty cool.
And have you heard anything about the fans?
I have. I've heard that this race is pretty unique and pretty special. It seems like this town really gets into it, so I'm excited for that.
I mean, it could be literally the same number of fans you'd see in a a big European track meet, but along the side of a mountain.
That's what I've heard, which is different in the U.S. I could run 31 miles, and we don't really see anybody for 10, 12 miles. So
the Moab Trail Marathon, you see people at the aid stations. And
right. That have been camping out the whole night. So it'll be cool. I'm excited for it.
Well, best of luck, Addie. Nice to meet you.
You too. Thanks.